Okay, now that we have learned how to make selections, I'll show you a couple of different ways you could use them. So I'm going to just very quickly, using my magnetic lasso, select this lady. And remember your magnetic lasso, you just sort of get close to the edge, and Photoshop will try and help you find that edge. If you click with the mouse, it'll force one of those points down. And then to find your end, you either have to find it yourself manually, or you can always hold the Command key and then click, and Photoshop will find the end for you. So I've got a gap down here, obviously where I missed a bit. So I'm just going to switch over to my regular lasso tool. I'm going to hold my Shift key down because that allows me to add to a selection. I'm just going to sort of circle a lasso around there to fill that gap in there. And then I got a little spot right here I need to get rid of. So I'll jump over again to a different tool. And actually for that one, I'm going to use the magic wand. I'm going to hold my Option key, which is going to allow me to subtract from my selection. I'm just going to try and get that little bit in there that I don't want. Same thing inside the earring here. And again over there. And so I've got my rough selection made here, and so now I'm going to jump into quick mask mode. Remember, that's over here. You can either hit this button, second from the bottom in your tool palette, or you could always hit your Q key, and that'll take you into quick mask mode. And then again, once I'm in there, I'm going to use my paintbrush and some black paint. And anything I paint over with black paint is going to become part of my selection. Just going to zoom in here, Command plus to zoom in a bit so you can see what's happening. And I'm just sort of tidying up the selection a little bit using quick mask mode, a paintbrush, and some black paint. Remember to change your brush size. It's Control and Option at the same time. Click and drag to the left or right to change the size of the brush, and Control and Option and up and down to change how hard the brush is. You can also use your bracket keys to change size. All right, for this demo, I'm going to call that good enough. Do Command minus, zoom back out again. I'll get out of quick mask mode by hitting my Q key, but I am still going to go in and do a refine. Excuse me, select and mask. They changed the name of refine selection to select and mask. And I'm going to add a little feather, do a little smoothing, and I'm going to say OK to that. All right, so now I have my selection of this lady. What are we going to do with it? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to reverse the selection. So now I have a selection of her, but I really want to work on that background because those people are kind of annoying in the background there. So I'm going to go up to Select Inverse, which will reverse my selection. So now instead of her being selected, my background is selected. And that was Select Inverse. And I'm just going to do a filter, blur, Gaussian blur. And I'm just going to make those people a little less prominent in the background there. Make it look like we had a better depth of field in our camera when we shot. And it's easy to go too far, of course. I'll go ahead and say OK to that. And I'm going to select inverse again to flip it back to her now. And now I can do some sharpening. So I can go to Filter, Sharpen, Smart Sharpen. And the numbers here aren't, whatever I put in here isn't necessarily going to work for whatever you're going to do with your image, because size and resolution of an image makes a big difference in how these filters work. But that actually looks pretty good. I'm going to say OK. And there you have it. So just by doing some quick selections and blurring that background, sharpening up the foreground, we've made some big improvements. And of course, deselect is Command D.